Welcome back to the Wild Rift Origins Series monthly final. It's our first one, and we're already saying goodbye to a couple of teams. We're about to say goodbye to some more because this is going to be our last series of the night, and it is on the line as we're in the lower half of that bracket, meaning that the next loss means that they'll go home. They'll take some prize money with them, 500 euros for making it this far. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
But also 92 points. As Maxwell mentioned before the break, this is all about reaching the main event, which is going to happen towards the middle, late September. But more details about that are to follow. Gents, Pick Ban, our brand new series is, of course, Team Singularity going up against Vampire. Two teams that have found themselves into the lower bracket after having some initial runs up in the top. What do we know about Team Singularity? I'm expecting a lot here, Kieran.
Yeah, I'm actually very good friends with a lot of the guys on the Team Singularity roster. I know quite a lot with them. I play with them in solo queue frequently. You've got Joey and Keys in the bot lane. They've played so many games together. They're a really kind of like veteran bot lane in terms of the amount of games they've played together. They're also previous mobile MOBA players from another mobile MOBA, and they had competitive experience in that MOBA as well. So both really good players. Ryu is a very smart top laner, like really smart guy. He's one of the few top laners in the game that I think is maybe one of the best on tanks out there. Like there are a lot. I think his carry pool is a little weak, but his tank pool is very strong. So I think that's why I think it's something that really gives them a big edge. And then actually they've got a pretty strong jungle as well. Another guy from a previous mobile MOBA too. They've got a lot of previous mobile MOBA experience on this roster actually.
Yeah, it can help a lot with a different kind of take on the current game itself on Wild Rift. So I'm enjoying the fact that we've got so many old players back in the scene, especially Joyce Gags. I mean, it's criminal. This guy was not picked up earlier, so it's good to see him finally into a competitive setup. But here we go. We've got the bans coming out already for these two teams. Going to be the Garen, also the Ziggs, Seraphine, and the Braum taken off the bat. So pretty normal bans. I'm not really too surprised. The Seraphine may be a little bit of an outlier, but that might be something the Singularity intended to play with. So they take that one off the board. And yeah, I mean, this is a very meta kind of draft coming out from these two teams. The Wukong to followed up with the Gragas already. Good engaged potential coming out from them. So right off the bat, what I'm seeing for Vampire, when you have such an engaged potential, I would love to see a Kaisa to be put in that ADC position to back up those engages and get direct access to the backline. That would be the game plan I would like to see. But you have a Camille with those tech ultimatums, could be trying to play spoilers to the likes of a Kaisa. They're going to take the Kaisa away. I think Singularity knew that would have been too good of a pickup to pair with Vampire's comp.
Kaisa is Joey's best pick, so like there's no way you wouldn't pick it on this rotation. They're going to go for the Renekton pickup, which I know that Ryu is a big fan of. I think he specifically said, I believe Renekton is incredibly underrated right now in the meta. One of the common builds that you see in Europe is Black Cleaver into full tank, but one of the builds that you might see over in Southeast Asia, which is gaining popularity in solo queue, is Blade of the Ruin King into Black Cleaver, so a bit more of an aggressive Renekton build. Joker, who's the jungler for Singularity, is a big Camille player, so that's absolutely going into the jungle for him, for Singularity, and that kind of leaves us with a mid lane and a support left to pick. And you just see the Galio and the Rakan get locked in. So versus Rakan, like Braum's already gone. Like other tanky supports like Alistair are good answers into Rakan, and it's going to be the Lulu though. That's interesting. It's okay into Rakan. I do prefer tanky supports into Rakan because Rakan can't deal with them very easily. But Lulu's fine. It supports the Kaisa.
Yeah, exactly with the Kaisa. Also, you can just add on top of the dominance of the Renekton, you can also add a Wild Growth. So he's going to be a real big beefy boy at the end when he goes for those initiations. Or Lulu Olaf. That's a very old one that we saw very early on in Wild Rift. It's coming back a little bit recently. I've seen it especially back in the, I think we saw it once or twice in the Summer Cup of the Icon series. So Olaf Lulu is going to be a very interesting one, and it's pretty hard to deal with. You just can't stop that Olaf whatsoever. And they're going to go full Zyrakan. We talked about it. It's typically an S tier kind of AD carry matchup right now together. They work extremely well. They got strong peeling. That peeling means nothing against that Olaf if he procs the Ragnarok. So the rest of the team good, but Olaf, if he times that Ragnarok properly, then the Blade Caller is not going to be as impactful as you might expect.
Okay, I'm sensing a very stark difference here. A lot of familiarity with Team Singularity. I think Kiernan's friendship is really going to shine through on this cast of how much insight he's going to be able to bring. Try not to root for them, though. We don't want any biased casters, all right? Yeah. I'm going to disappear, and if I'm going to come back, and I'm going to have words if you are biased, right, Kiernan? So just bear that in mind, yeah? Watch me. Woo! Go Singularity!
No, I'm joking.
You're trouble, scoundrel.
I actually think Vampire's draft is super solid, by the way. I think they've got a really strong team fight combo, and like plenty of chain CC in there as well, which is going to prove really a big issue for Joey if his positioning is not absolutely on point. So like a lot of this is relying on just Joey having a very strong positioning or snowballing off like the Renekton Camille combo. Otherwise, if you come to strict team fight situations, I think Vampire have got a very strong team fight comp, and it's very difficult to punish Azaya because she has the Featherstorm to just keep her safe in any situation. So a lot of pressure on Kaiser's shoulders to kind of put to really position well in this game.
Yeah, though to give the respect to Joyskaggs, I think he deserves. He, in the recent tournament, we were talking about a lot, the Northern European tournament that happened just recently, where Singularity did beat Reason Gaming in that final matchup and did take the win 3-0, very dominant. Almost every single game, Kaiser was banned away purely because Joyskaggs were playing those specific matches.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He is insanely talented on every AD champion you give him, but Kaiser's definitely one that I would say he is the best at performing at. So in terms of position, I'm expecting him to be pretty good. And if the team engages properly around that Kaiser, he should be set up for success. But here we go. We're going to dive once again onto the Rift for the first game of our series of Singularity versus Vampire Esports. And this is an interesting one. I think that these are two well-matched up teams here, Scandal. So it's a little bit hard to call who I think might be taking the series here.
Yeah, I think Singularity come in as favorites, but I do believe that Vampire are a team that maybe doesn't get as much credit as they deserve. I think they're strong. It's interesting that actually we have Renekton mid for Zawa. So I was actually watching Ryu play a bit of solo queue today, and he was spamming Camille, and he was like, "Oh wait, I'm actually pretty good at this champion." And so I wasn't expecting him to convert that directly into competitive. Oh wow. My word, Zawa, you absolutely! Oh my gosh, he got level 2. He got level 2.
You lucky, mate. Oh, damn. Okay, Warlife, you might be a little bit careful. He's potentially going to be waiting also for the honey fruits to spawn. They spawn just now. He's going to pick it up instantly. But Zhao already got that lane picked up, so he's going to pick up his very own honey fruit. But, okay, a little bit of an aggressive start coming up from these two teams.
Yeah, that was very all-in from Zawa there.
He's
but
AD,
actually, the Renekton mid is a great answer into Galio. Galio is an anti-AP champion. He's very good at dealing with AP matchups, especially AP melee matchups like Diana and Katarina. He sucks versus Renekton. Like, he really sucks versus Renekton. He does not have a shield that protects against physical damage. Renekton is pretty much exclusively physical damage. So this is a great matchup for Renekton, and I don't really envision that Warlife's going to get much love here.
Yeah, I really enjoy that matchup. It works really well for the likes of Zhao. I still want to see Zhao potentially play back on Ahri that I've seen played a few months ago. So I'm still going to request the Ahri pick in mid eventually. One day it'll happen, I hope, for this Origin series. We've got 4 days to go. So I'm sure at one point a team will make my dream come reality. As they go, Scuttle's going to be secured away by Kemal. Topside was already secured away by the opposing side of Singularity. So no double Scuttle control this game, unlike the last series between Reason Gaming and Luminous Charm. So a little bit happy to see that coming on through. Seemed like they were paying attention. The first Drake is going to be Mountain, and this is very clearly, and we mentioned about this many times in Scandal throughout the day, is the fact that if the first Drake is going to be Mountain or not an Infernal Drake has priority at any kind of stage of the game. Here, you can very easily contest and lane kind of cross-map that Mountain Drake without too much of an issue, and Ryu is the one we're looking at to potentially do that. So he has to be very aware and cautious of how he wants to play around the map. Do you want to take the fight for the first Drake, or do you want to try and maybe get a tower on one of the side lanes?
I mean, you do have the good old boost Olaf comp, which is actually relatively solid in some of these early fights. Javix looking maybe for a level 5 with his ultimate here. I mean, Ryu is going to have to be super careful. I don't think he wins these.
Yeah, Body Slam's not going to be up anymore. That could have been a really good engage coming out from Javix, maybe just enough to close off with the explosive cast, but he's going to keep it up and ready to go. But we talked about it many times, is if the Hectic Ultimatum comes on through, explosive cast, and you're just going to be displacing away that Camille, and the ultimate is taken down instantly. Though mid, there's going to be a big rotation, you can see on the minimap from Dark Ghost, wants to try and close that gap on Zawa, because he sees Warlife is getting bullied into submission very clearly. You talked about the AP matchup that Warlife typically does really well into. Zawa's doing well, so he needs a little bit of backup, but even then, it is clearly not enough. Zawa wants to hold on very strongly to this mid lane.
Yeah, and also Zawa going to have a lot of presence in this first team fight. I'm very interested to see which build he does go, by the way. It looks like he's going for the Black Cleaver build to begin with. Looks like he's got a bit of an edge here versus Warlife. And yeah.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I mean, I have just to make you aware, we don't have the game feed anymore. So anyway, this first dragon is going to be pretty insane. This first dragon is going to be clearly the big turning point, I think, for the game. Now, I wonder whether we are going to see Ryu go for a cross map onto the first the first tower, or we see him come and join the fight. I think the problem is that, you kind of have to rely on the Olaf to kind of like run this fight down. Because I think if it comes to a strict like 5v5, then I do believe that you're at a loss if you Singularity. I don't think you actually win that as easily, because I think the 5v5 is slightly better, especially at that first dragon for Vampire. But I think if Singularity can cross map, they can start to accelerate that gold a little more. That could be something that we look to see them do.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I think that definitely you talked about the cross map that could be really strong. So we'll see. As we got the feed back up, Excalibur, we're going to know exactly what's happening in this game. So we've got some eyes, we've got vision of what's currently unfolding on the Rift. Ryu's going to be on that front line, trying to hit himself a little bit of a sweep.
Yeah, going for
the
it.
Dragon's going low, 50%, and Ragnarok going to be popped away by the Olaf. That's the fight you're looking to see coming on through, but the Blade Callers are so strong coming up from Zero, especially the CC's just not there, especially not on this Olaf, as Singularity now going to be losing himself an extra player. That's going to be Ryu down and ready to go, as the Dragon's going to be secured out and will be going over to the blue side of Singularity. Fight's going to keep on rolling. You be careful there, Zawa. You might be batting down more than you can actually chew. He will make it out just fine, but can't say the same for the likes of Keys that went a little bit overboard and will be losing his life in the process. Joystax, though, really willing to go for those kills, but the Void Seeker will not be making it through that Wolf Camp.
I mean, at the end of the day, it was a win for Singularity. They pick up the Drake and also kind of get an even team fight off the back of it. Joey was kind of untouched the entire fight. And so he was on the sidelines just getting those passive stacks built up with no one really threatening him. However, that key example that you saw from Javix there, he was doing enough to frontline to kind of worry Joey that he couldn't go more aggressive in that situation. He was threatening the body slammer every time, which meant that Joey wasn't able to convert on those low HP targets that he was chasing down through the jungle. So good stuff. Let's have a look back at the replay of this fight. You can see here Ryu on the front line. Obviously, they separate out the Wukong. We get the Wukong Galio combo, gets a lot of knockups. Ryu buys a lot of time, uses his ultimate to get kind of like a split up in this team fight. Joey over to the backline to take out the Rakan very quickly here. And again, look at Javix threatening Joey out of the fight. Joey finding it difficult to get consistent basic attacks off. And eventually, they collapse back into the front line of Singularity, and Joey just isn't quite strong enough to chase down them in the jungle. But we have another fight here around the Rift Herald.
Around the Rift Herald not going to be secured just yet, so it's going to be happening later on. But back to that fight you just mentioned, right? There was a very clear split for Vampire. They were thinking, do we go for Joy Skags or do we go for the Dragon? I think that Joy Skags could have been maybe a very valuable target to take down and maybe put the focus right after on the Dragon, but it was so short notice that they had to go for a decision, try to go for the Drake. It didn't quite work out at the end. Ryu, there you go, another Hectic Ultimatum. The Feather Storm, really well used by Zero, able to negate the entirety of the ultimate. Getting very low, the Herald, who's going to be the one secured away, is going to be in smite range, and it will be secured actually by the Galio. Warlife secures it for himself. As Vampire now, the health bars are just dwindling away into oblivion, trying to make it out. The stun of this Renekton is going to be big for Zawa, and that's another very strong win going in favor of Singularity, and is looking like this game is slipping away for Vampire as time goes on.
Yeah, and they get the Rift Herald, but you may end up losing the first turret of the game to Camille on the top side of the map here, which means it wasn't massively worth it, especially as the next dragon's going to be Ocean. Doesn't look like Rio's going to get enough time on that tier 1, though, so a bit more space to try and use the Keys. That's classic Keys, by the way. You've got a bit more space here for Vampire to try and utilize that Rift Herald to their advantage. Still, teamfight wins kind of in favor. I think the brawling power of Zawa is becoming very apparent right now, especially in the smaller skirmishes where you don't have everyone grouped up. Zawa is kind of popping off, and that's what we expect of a Renekton this early on into the game. And he's going for the tankier Renekton build. No Blade of the Ruin King here instead. And we're going to take a look back at this fight. So, Vampire have the setup. They go for the big old Wukong Galio combo again, which is very, very tried and tested. You just get the knock-up into the knock-up, which is very strong. But look at Zawa on the backline. No one's touching him. No one's threatening this Renekton at this point in time. And you try and go for Ryu, who's got that mobility built into his kit. You need to focus down the Renekton. Get an early Executioner's Cooling, which you have got from Zero, and just try and focus that Renekton down ASAP, because he was just left completely alone in that team fight. And a Renekton who's left alone is just going to rinse through the backline.
Yeah, and Scandal, I'm seeing a big issue actually coming up and arising quite a few times, especially the last two fights, is that I got the impression Vampire's got a really big issue with their team focus. They sometimes make indecision, and in my eyes, when you're in any game, it's better to go for a bad decision than not knowing what to do. And here they're very clearly trying to make a plan work out, and they just lose themselves in the middle at the end of these fights, and they lose their focus, and they just lose the fight off the back of that. So I think that they need to try and get back into the mindset, get back in the zone of a good competitive game. But there you go. There is entrance to the bottom side. Not going to be doing an insane amount of CC. Keith's going to be ulting himself, and this is a little bit of an overstep. I'm going to say a little bit, actually a big overstep, because Kimao died there when there was really no reason for that to happen, and now Zawa's ready to go potentially for a tower dive. Yeah,
he's looking for it. Zero might even just face check into him. Zawa's popped the ultimate.
Yeah, he get instantly taken down. He's going straight for the tower. He got himself the Dominus ready to go, and he popped it instantly. Big health bar, big beefy Croc, and he's going to go for the flash to confirm it. Gets the stun, the extra basic attack, and that is the kill once again to Zawa. Seeming pretty unstoppable this game.
Yeah, this mid lane Renekton pick working huge for Singularity, especially into that matchup versus the Galio, where it gets a lot of value. And now, that mid lane tier 1, now they don't have anyone to protect it, is being opened up like almost instantaneously for Singularity. Great convert, great collapse into the mid lane tier 1. What a first tower in the game to get as well, because that mid lane tier 1 opens up the rest of the map. So you can now start to get some offensive vision control in both the blue and red side jungle. So I'm expecting Singularity to now push that vision line in a little further, especially on the setup for this next Drake of the game, which will be the Infernal, which is a really big one to try and contest. And we have that Baron starting up in around 5 seconds as well. So obviously we have a Baron to worry about in the future also, but Singularity in a very strong spot. I think they did come into this matchup as favorites. They're clearly showing that they're the favorites in this early game right now. And a lot of that lead is sat on Zawa's shoulders. He is 7-0-1 on the Renekton, by the way. Very, very undervalued pick in competitive right now, and Singularity is showing why.
Yeah, there you go. Another fight going to be happening once again. Singularity not going to have higher priority, but the big knock up there, all singled out. Singularity got himself CC'd engaged, but Joker had to pop the ulti at the very end. Nobody dies just now, but Vampire definitely taking a really severe beating, and with the Baron up, as you said, Scandal, that will take their focus. The Singularity instantly with the eyes on the prize.
Yep, and they have a very quick Baron take with the Olaf and with the Kai'Sa here too. They have the Lulu to speed up the take also, and they should get it scot-free. The teleport's coming through, but
I don't like that. Yeah, that's the... He knows he's instantly going to regret that decision. Flashes himself away. The Herald is going to be available in mid. Was used away by the likes of Warlife. They've got to be careful there. Zawa a little bit too far. The Dominus will be used. And he wants to go for the re-engage, but you're down to 50%. I would not recommend it. Focus down the Herald. You should be fine. And that was clearly a reactive Herald coming out. And you want to try and be proactive. You want to try and create opportunities with it, not try and react to a Baron push. And unfortunately, they just lost themselves so much in that fight. Once again, the Herald now wasted as... a little bit too far there. Not sure what's happening with Javix. He's going for opportunities I would never think anyone will try and give a shot. He's trying his best, and he's taking too much damage along the way. So I'm not sure. Seemed like Vampire trying to fix things on the go, but it's just clearly not working as they intend to.
Yeah, I think they were trying to sort of bait Zawa in. I mean, Zawa's worth a ridiculous amount of money right now on the shutdowns, so just trying to bait him in and potentially get the kill with the surprise Galio ultimate coming out, but they weren't able to make it work. If you can get a kill onto Zawa, like that's a big chunk of gold you can massively potentially swing back in your favor. We do have a fight coming through though.
Yeah, quickness from the Rakan. Going to get access to the backline just a bit, but the team is not there to back it up. And now Hectic Ultimatum, you're going to be singling out a few targets here. Hard bars are going lower and lower by the second for Vampire. Big engage, but no Joyskax. That might be a little too much. An instant regret for Joyskax as he does lose his life in the process. Keith, I don't know why over there, mate. He gave it a shot. Didn't work out. Whatever. And still going to be Singularity moving out of that one entirely. And... yeah, weird one. Singularity, take the L on that fight.
Well, is it an L? Because you're getting a tower in the bot lane, like... It looked like an L, clearly.
It was a bit much, I would say.
But it was definitely an overstep, but it was a 4 versus 5. You actually got a kill in the 4 versus 5. You went 2 for 1 and got bot lane tier 2. Clearly worth the Singularity. Like, absolutely 100%. I'd take that trade every single day of the week. Loving the build from Zawa, though. Look at this. Blade of the Ruined King coming through for this chap. He's got a very aggressive with the guy with the stone plate enchant onto his boots as well. He's going to be very difficult to take out in this next team fight, and I think he'll be the difference maker in this Infernal play. You can take a look here. Again, just like I think I praise Vampire for trying to force the 4v5, but they're just too far behind at this point. Like, Zawa's too tanky, too difficult to take out. Obviously, Joey Skaggs did not want to do that ultimate, realistically. That was not the play. But at the end of the day, it happened. He went for it. Keys tried to follow up. We have another engage in the mid lane, though.
Yeah, back in mid. Ryu going to have to jump away from that one with a hook shot. He's going to be able to make that one work out. Joker's got to be careful. Does pop himself out of the fight, just on the brink of HP on the deathbed, but we'll be able to make it out just fine. 12-6 currently. 30 minutes, 20 seconds into the game, and the goal lead just about 10k in their favor. This, especially with the Infernal Drake, this is the point where it's almost impossible to come back from. I'm not going to say impossible, but it's almost impossible to come back from because the lead is too big, and if they get any kind of an towers, which Zhao is just bullying this mid lane every time, then that's where things are going to get really dicey for Vampire to take this first game of the series.
I think realistically, like, when you're looking at comeback in Wild Rift, you're always looking at potential late game options. I don't think that your late game is better than Singularity. Like, don't get me wrong, Xayah scales okay. You've got some really good front lines to scale with too, but I don't think you scale much better than Singularity. Exactly. You're going into a Kai'Sa, you're going into a Camille, a Lulu Olaf, Lulu Kai'Sa. Like, these are things that you almost can't deal with in the late game. So as much as I want to say potential, I think Vampire have already missed the mark for what they needed to do this game. And I think, unfortunately, they are very unlikely to find another window back in at this stage.
Top side, that's going to be a little bit of an engage. Got to be careful, Joyce Gags. That's twice. You're going a little bit deep in those fights. Already going to be able to flash himself back to safety. Now is re-engage time for Ryu. Hectic Ultimate and Blade Caller not going to be doing too much full zero. Unfortunately, as Zhao, he has his eyes straight on the prize and he knows exactly which target he's going to go for, but he's going to collapse on the next best thing, and that is going to be War Life as he has to go golden for a few. War will be not losing his life actually for now, as Zhao is going to try and move his way even further forward towards that Baron lane in Ip Tower. And he gets it done once again. It was a little bit of a messy fight, all over the place, I would say, Scoundrel. But you know what? Can't argue with results, and that's another fight going the way of SNG.
And again, the Baron is up once more. I think SNG, they're taking a little bit of time to kind of like put that final nail in the coffin. But honestly, that coffin has been well and truly sealed for quite some time. Singularity absolutely in the driving seat. Interesting attempt at the Baron from Joker with keys by himself, but they can group up and do this very easily. I think that the Baron would be like the deal breaker here. Like, you'd be able to take that out super easily. Take a look here. Joey just out of position once more. A little bit too aggressive, has to flash out, but by the time that Ryu joins the fight, they don't really have the damage to actually take down the Camille easily. And then Galio jumps in. Zawa is the big raid boss that's eventually come in, and at this point you're just picking off one by one. Unfortunately, Warlife knows that he's dead. The rest of them are able to retreat to their base. Warlife kind of gave his life to try and sacrifice on the exit and paid for it, but at the end of the day, Singularity are winning these team fights anyway.
Yeah, pretty dominantly so also. Unless there was a little bit of an overstep coming up from Joyce Gags, which happened twice, so he's got to be careful how he positions in those fights. But
I mean, Joey's not the carry.
Yeah, exactly. He's not anymore, right? He's not anymore, right? Yeah, Zhao now is just going to be looking at a flawless game here, all around 7-0 in 4, a 15,000 gold coming his way. He's 4,000 gold, actually no, 3,000 gold ahead of a War Life, which is the other mid laner he was dealing with. But currently has the best KD on the other side, 3-1-2, which is not amazing by any stretch of the imagination. So he's clearly one step above the rest. So bottom side, that's going to be a mini 1v1 currently happening with Ryu and also the Gragas played by Javix. But you can see the split push is continuously there, trying to put pressure, force the comebacks from Vampire onto the bottom side of the map. But it's just not working out because the wave clear from Javix is struggling quite a bit. And he keeps on getting poked down by Ryu. And because of that, because of the split focus of Vampire, they're getting straight for Baron fight.
I mean, you go for Baron here. Baron's the way that you end the game right now. I mean, Zhao is just creating pressure on the top side of the map. They're going to get Baron for free. There's no way that, I mean, you can't even enter your own red side jungle if you're a Vampire. I mean, Zhao is a little overextended here.
Okay, Dominus and also the Wild Growth. That is the biggest champion I think I've ever seen in Wild Rift right now. And he's going to get himself some decent damage. Dokimel pretty damn tanky into this one. I think it's down to his build path to make sure that he does not go down almost instantly. Javix is going to be left stranded away. And they don't even... That was literally a 4v5. And Singularity was still looking dominant. So the moment you add also Joker to the mix, that's when things start to find closure for Singularity as they try and secure themselves. Game 1 of this series against Vampire is, yeah, there you go. They're knocking on the Vampire's door and they're about to tear down the entire door about, should I say.
Yeah, they're going for every inhibitor tower, like way too easy for them to do so. I mean, Zhao is dead, or at least the GA's popped. Come on, guys, you got to save Zhao's perfect KDA. You got to save Zhao's perfect KDA.
Give it to him. Oh, he's getting chased. They don't want to give it to him, though. Apparently, Scoundrel Camille will lose his life, and Singularity will continuously go for the push. A little bit of an overstep. He's got himself the GA. Will try and respawn. A little too early War Life, unfortunately, and with the Baron buff, too. Those minions are going to be clearing it even quicker, and this is going to be finding closure right now, as that's going to be game stuff the redemption to make it up, and that's going to be game number 1 going over to Singularity in very dominant fashion. In fashion, I would almost say here, Scoundrel, where Singularity seemed like they were playing with their food from time to time versus Vampire.
I think at the end of the day, it was a bit of draft diff. I think that was a really strong mid lane pick into the Galio. I think Zawa really carried the early game. I would critique Singularity, though. I think they struggled to close out the mid game quicker than they should have done. I think versus better teams, if you give them that 5 minutes from 12 minutes to 17 minutes that Singularity gave Vampire, they would find a way to, punish you harder than Vampire were able to. I think Singularity they found it difficult to end despite the massive lead that they got themselves in that early mid game. However, very clean stuff. Zawa kind of put the game on his back a little bit with that Renekton pick, but no one was really in danger of kind of being no one was massively in danger of being too far behind from the Singularity roster, and they just had a really solid game all round.
Yeah, I was very surprised, to be completely honest, Scandal, seeing Singularity in the lower bracket this early on in the tournament. I thought Team Future would have been a good matchup, but they have to redeem themselves in our eyes, and I think they're definitely doing so in these drafts and these games. But you know what? We'll have to break down this game a little bit more and go towards game 2 of this series for Singularity versus Vampire as we head on over to a very short break. We'll be back on the desk, always trade it right after.
And we're back. Team Singularity instilling some confidence back into us, as you kind of alluded to there, Max. But you didn't expect them to be in the lower bracket, but they're making the case that they need to extend their tournament life a little bit longer. And when I'm looking at last game, really, I think you guys hammered it home, it was the story of Zawa's Renekton in the mid lane. Like, what a fantastic pick against the Galio. And he became a raid boss throughout the entire map.
Yeah, Scandal touched upon it that game, right? Galio does really good into AP matchups, and that was a setup that came in really early on in that draft from the entirety of SNG. They knew that they were going to get himself priority in mid because of that Renekton matchup that worked really good. He almost got himself a kill in, what was it, a minute 30, 2 minutes in the game, forcing the flash instantly out of one of the players, actually the Galio. It's very interesting. I think that is something that maybe you're looking at Vampire, they will try and make sure that doesn't happen in the next matchup, because Galio struggles a lot against that. And what happened off the back of Renekton getting that kind of lead is it was forcing Rakan to roam instantly into the mid lane. So because of that, it created priority in other sides of the map to try and assist the likes of this Galio, and then made the game a lot easier on other sides of the map for the entirety of SNG. So that one little change alone made it very easy for them to gain priority, gain the lead, and then take the game off of that.
Yeah, and they kept gaining their lead just for following off the back of like the micro lead. The one thing leads to another, to another, to another. They didn't really seem like they lost control of the game. But I want to highlight this particular clip, and Keenan, I want you to take us through this one. Is this first Herald fight? Can you break this down for us? How did this go down?
Yeah, let's have a look. Okay, so this is following the dragon fight that was a little bit back and forth, where it was a slight edge that came out, but specifically Zawa, as you can see here, came really well out of that dragon fight. So he's in a pretty good spot right now. Right, backline. I don't know why Xayah has already used her ultimate. I don't think she's massively being threatened here, but at the end of the day, she's already used her ultimate. So she's in the back of the pit.
You see Ryu, right?
Sorry, say again.
Is Ryu not a big enough threat?
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of.
He just used his ultimate there. So that's why he used the Hectic Ultimatum, and he used it as a response to negate it in that fight.
Yeah. But like at the end of the day, you have the protection of Dark Ghost, and you have both of your base. So I think it was a little reactionary to use your. I don't blame him. Don't get me wrong. Don't blame him. Absolutely, Camille is definitely a threat, but it's a little reactionary given how much support you have. You have essentially what is a Galio here as well. Like imagine if a Camille ults you and you have the Galio ultimate. If your team's communicating, you have the Galio ultimate, so you should be able to use the Galio ultimate onto the back line and potentially save him. Regardless, though, he's used it. So he's used it reactionary to stop the Camille ultimate. So I completely understand. But this is a beeline now for Zawa. Like all Zawa needs to do, there's no flash. He's used his ultimate. Like you just get into the back of the pit because there is nothing that Xayah can do at this point in time. So we're going to play it out, right? You need to keep your eyes on Zawa. He's the absolute MVP here. Right, backline. Boom. Stunned up. Nothing. The Zero's not even basic attacking. Nothing he can do. So pause right there. Whatever happened here doesn't matter because no one dealt with Zawa. And as I said, there's nothing you can do as a Xayah in that situation if you've got no flash and you've got no ult. Like the Renekton just walks in and bops you on the head. And then suddenly the rest of V3 are like, okay, like we did pretty well against Ryu and Joker, like they're low HP. Keys is kind of on his way out here, but we have a very angry crocodile in the back of the pit and we have very low HP. Boom. Keymao dead. Keys is there just supporting Xayah at the same time. Boom. Rakan dies at the end of this as well. That is now an extremely fed crocodile, like extremely fed. And that was the platform that Zawa used to kind of carry the game from this point onwards. And I think A little bit of miscommunication from Vampire. I think you could have saved Desire ultimate a little longer. You could utilize the Galio ultimate or the Rakan to provide the shielding and the knockups that you needed to save her. Because realistically, apart from the Camille, no one else is threatening you. And a Camille this early on in the game, she's not going to one-shot you. Yeah, she's a threat if she gets people to collapse on you with the Camille ultimate. But at this stage in the game, it's not like I'm going to one-shot you. Whereas in the late game, that definitely can be the case. So once that had all gone down, great presence of mind from Zawa to know that there was a sitting duck in the back line, takes them out, nothing they can do in the rest of that team fight.
I also liked that you were showing us the entrance as well. Zawa spotted the Galio ultimate coming in, just waited a brief extra second to not get knocked up before taking the path into the pit, making sure they weren't CC'd. But this is kind of the stuff we're expecting from a team like Singularity, Max, isn't it? Mechanically gifted, but also they have a clear game plan when they're coming into this.
Yeah, especially we saw it at the very start of the show, right? We had a little section where we were hearing from a few of the players, and Ryu said he thinks a lot of the teams in this tournament are maybe overlooking them, and then you're thinking back at the Game Lords, your Tribes are maybe not seeing them as a true amount of competition. They clearly are, despite that big hiccup, that 2-0 that they lost versus Team Future in the quarterfinals, which I do think is just them having potentially a really bad performance at the very start of the day, but they got themselves back into the rhythm of things, and they could go really far. They proved that they are a championship level team. They could very clearly make it back from the loser bracket and make the Grand Slam happen in the bottom side back into the finals. So I'm hoping to really see them go really far in this tournament. I think that they showed some really good moments of greatness, not only this tournament, but the last few tournaments. So we need to see Singularity be on this A game all the time, because this is great. Well, they played. The draft was strong. The execution was strong. But it needs to be like that on a consistent basis, which I guess we didn't see the match, but I guess that didn't quite happen versus Team Future. They were definitely not the favorite in that matchup.
Right then, let's close the book. I got props now on game one, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and then jump into game number 2. The Team Singularity are leading the series. I now believe they're going to be going on to the red side for this next match. Is that going to change up anything with the draft at all? Do you think it's still going to be Singularity just dominating in game number 2?
I think it's going to be pretty similar. Both teams went for very meta bans and also very meta picks. We saw the first pick actually coming out last game was Camille for the side of Ryu on Singularity. And I think that if you don't get yourself access to a Camille, you can very easily switch up the Camille for another champion if you want. I'm thinking of a Gragas that's really good in terms of you can flex in different positions. That's what also Camille offers. You can play at jungle, you can play at Baron lane. So if you want to go towards another champion that is not Camille, if it's picked away or even banned, I think it's fine. So I'm not expecting too many big shifts, but some champions might be exchanged between these two teams as we go on down this draft phase.
Yeah, I think Renekton in itself, in a bubble, I don't think is a huge deal, but I think into a matchup like that is where you really get value out of Renekton. So I honestly, I'm not sure Renekton's worth banning, but you just need to be a little more careful about the flexibility of Singularity. Like, Zawa has got a very wide champion pool. Like, Zawa can play a lot of champions, and that's one of the things that makes him such a strong mid laner, I think, for Singularity. And plus, him and Ryu do share champion pools, so you have that ability to flex those champions. And also, I love the fact that we saw Ryu flexing the carry muscles a little bit more. Has been classically more known as a tank player in competitive, but seeing him get onto the Camille, be a bit more carry orientated, very good for him.
So let's say they do ban the Renekton, right? And we're going to get our answers pretty soon. Because let's say they do ban the Renekton, you're going to have the what could be an option to shut down a Galio pick in mid lane, just as an educational piece to some of the newer viewers? What's quite good into Galio that isn't the Renekton?
Any AD mids, if you really want to go for a Zed, for instance, any AD mids are good into the Galios. Otherwise, ranged mids can be quite good. Even if they're AP, you can still punish the fact that you're ranged versus melee matchups. Really, Galio is kind of okay in a lot of matchups. He's very good against melee AP matchups, does struggle against melee AD matchups a lot of the time. But, Garen mid can work. It's banned here. I've seen some Garen mids into Galios. Yeah. Camille mids I've seen into Galios, for instance. There are a lot of things that you can flex into that mid lane versus a Galio. It's just whether it fits your team comp or not.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's going to be the Renekton banned away by Vampire. They don't want to get bullied into submission once again. With the Olaf too, and also the Garen, that's a lot of frontliners going to be taken off the board this time around. So a lot of Baron laners off. Intrigued to see what's going to be the final ban actually coming out from Singularity. Seemed like the Ziggs, there you go, the Ziggs is going to be banned away from them. I have no issue with this whatsoever. We talked about it, the Camille still being open. If you want to try and flex it, that'll be good. And I think that might be something towards which Vampire want to play. I remember seeing them play it back in the tournament. I think it was a month or 2 months ago. So they do play it quite a fair bit. And that's indeed going to be the first pickup for Vampire, as they're going to go with a Camille to first pick. So a little bit hard for Singularity to respond because they don't know exactly where to pinpoint down the location of that Camille. So they need to be a little bit adventurous in how they're going to go for their 2 first picks.
You kind of hit the nail on the head here, Max. At the end of the day, that's why Camille is such a good first pick and competitive. It just gives you that flexibility of the draft right now. You can go jungle or Baron lane. If I were Singularity, like, I would be thinking about a safe Baron lane pick if I wanted to, like the Gragas, but the Braum Kai'Sa comes through immediately here, which is really interesting because Braum has got quite a few bad support matchups in the meta. Like, he's not particularly strong into enchanters. However, it is a great pick to pair up with the Kai'Sa. Keeps her very safe. You have a lot of pick potential in the late game as well.
Okay, I'm happy. I'm having a good day now. My day went from good to even better. I'm having an Ahri fight. I'm going to prove you. Scoundrel, hopefully. Vampire, don't do me wrong. The Ahri mid can indeed work if played correctly. It's all about how you roam and hitting those charms. Of course, you've got to hit the skills for it to be decent. So we're hoping to see that coming on through. Paired up with a Rakan.
Why would you?
Interesting first. I don't know. I would have liked to seen some other ones maybe before, but Rakan picked very early on. I mean, you already got a support picked by Singularity. You don't have to pick support this early on.
No, okay, Max. Okay. No, just give it over to Kieran because I feel like he's going to mold a little bit about the Ahri. I just want to hear this.
Because, like, why would you pick Rakan into Braum? Like, you've got so many good support options open. Braum sucks. Rakan sucks into Braum. Like Rakan jumps in. Oh wait, you just hit him with Winter's Bite, and suddenly he's stunned and dead. Like, it's just not a great. It's just not a great pick into Braum. Okay, and also you saw in a couple of fights, like if Rakan goes to the engage, Braum's just like, okay, I'm going to walk in front of him and just put the shield up, and suddenly you can't do anything in the team fights. That is an interesting rotation, though. The Fizz is an interesting one here. Jungle Fizz, 100% Jungle Fizz is, you know, or at least unless that was feeling confident in that Ahri matchup, you can dodge the charm with your Playful Trickster, of course, which does make it, you know, give you a little bit of an edge. But I'm assuming this is Jungle Fizz, considering that you're seeing that you're going into a potential Kha'Zix now, which comes through. So we are flexing that Camille to the Baron lane.
This is a very squishy composition from Vampire. I don't know how they're going to go towards with this one, but they have a great front line coming up from Singularity with the Braum, and now the Pantheon too. This is an original take on the current draft. I'm really liking it. So Pantheon, seeing how things are going to come on through. Should be played into the, I believe it's going to be played then Baron lane, and they're going to put Gragas essentially in jungle with. And there's so many things they could make with this. So it's very hard to respond to this with Vampire. They're going to have to see how things work out, but I'm loving it. And we got the Ahri, so I'm down for this game.
Let's just see how we get into games.
I'm gonna let you two bicker because I feel like you have very different opinions on how this draft went. So I'm gonna disappear. I'm gonna get out of the way and let you two lovebirds have at it.
Thank you very much, Dread. We're going to see. I mean, I'm definitely loving it. One thing for sure, I'm enjoying how this draft has played out, and we got some really interesting picks. I want to see this Ahri played out properly on the side of Vampire. It's all about how you roam, get yourself those charms down.
Want Ahri to lose really hard so Max shuts up about Ahri. I just want Ahri to lose really hard so Max shuts up about Ahri. That'd be great.
Wow. Okay, but I mean, if Ahri does bad, I'll just ask for Blitzcrank next time. But in general, you talked about also the fact that they could be playing potentially this Ziggs in the mid lane position, but with the picks they have, they could put Gragas in mid, they could put Gragas also flex it in the jungle position. There's so many things that they could play around with, and if they want to lane swap or just swap positions midway, except for the jungle, of course, because he's going to have the smite, you could definitely do so. So yeah, I want to wait and see us actually going into the Rift for this game, because it's up in the air as to exactly what's going to be happening on Singularity's side.
Yeah, I think we've got to wait to see when we get into game before we make any speculation, and then we can see exactly which pick has gone where. If I had to speculate, I would imagine it's Ryu playing Gragas top, because that's something that he's more comfortable on. But look, we're going to get into game. We'll see.
We'll see exactly who's got the smite on their side. The smite's going to be over to the Pantheon. It's going to be Joker on the Pantheon then. I don't know, because you play with Joker quite a bit. I don't know if that's a champion he plays a lot as of recently. It's not something that I've seen him play myself.
I haven't played with Joker too much, but it is, I think, actually is an underrated jungle pick in the meta. The interesting pick for me is
Concussive Blows going to be procced. Zero will be the first kill, and you give it over to none other than Joker himself. Talk about him on the Pantheon. Really good early game champ, and you got Braum too, man. You just got the perfect package to take an early game fight.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that they're going for the invade off the back of this as well. Have to be a little careful about level 1 invades, but it looks like Kha'Zix is on the opposite side of the map. The interesting matchup for me, though, is the Fizz into the Ahri. Like, that can be quite a difficult matchup, unless you're going to, be able to dodge away from the charm. But it looks like we're going to get a ward onto Kha'Zix. Are we going to see Zawa go for an invade here? Oh my god, Zawa.
And maybe a little bit too much there. I'm not a big fan, but you know what? He's able to put him out pretty low. He's going to get the flash on over, and Zawa might try and jump over the blue. Did indeed go his way here. Scandal, he got ignited down. One more basic attack is all you need. They still get himself the kills. Aggressive from Zawa, I would say here, clearly, and maybe a little bit overzealous, but yeah.
It doesn't matter that he died. It literally doesn't matter that he died. Kha'Zix is level 1 at 1 minute 12 into the game.
Yeah.
Like, he's completely gutted Kemal's early jungle here. Is Ryu about to solo kill Javix? Oh my god.
Oh, you gotta be careful. He's got the shield. No, Ryu just got baited out of that one. Got himself the barrier last second, and the honey fruit will be going back on over to Javix. Man, this is off to a bang of a game. I'm loving this one already. One more basic attack. Concussive blow gets it done once more. Keith will be there to trade it off back and forth with Zero. What is this game? You guys gotta chill out a bit. Do Vampire know if they lose, they're out? Like, come on, guys, you need to relax a little bit. Jesus.
I mean, they are getting kills back. Let's be fair. They are trading 1 for 1 in a lot of these scenarios. Looks like actually. Do you know what, Kemal? Props to you, because he's gone into a red side invade here. I think Joker kind of missed the trick a little bit. He's kind of allowed Kemal back into the game more so than he maybe should have done. And Kemal looks he's gone for a red side invade and is going to get away with it as well, which is pretty crazy. Joker has not really got a huge level advantage over his opposite number, though. Has found the engage in the jungle onto him, but Kemal actually has the level advantage right now.
Yeah, he wants to reclaim his red buff. Can he jump on over? He gets himself the cooldown reduced, and he's good to go. Though, dive into the mid lane, get himself ignite, and another tower shot. It's a 1-for-1 trade happening once again. This game is nutty, and I'm loving it. I live for these kind of games, but the Ahri, unfortunately, not the roams I want to see. Don't roam under tower, please.
I mean, it's a rough matchup for Fizz pre-5.
Yeah.
So, I think you've got to be a little careful as Zawa. If you don't dodge the charm with your playful trickster, you are probably inting that matchup. And I think it was a very, very confident pick from Zawa to go into the Fizz here. Yeah, he got charmed. He got charmed in the middle of a first ability, and he doesn't have level 5, so he can't respond. So he's lucky that he traded 1 for 1 thanks to the tower overall.
Well, a little bit of a hard one, yeah. Unfortunately, not able to work out around that first ability in that fight around this Urchin Strike. So a little bit of a hard encounter here. Still 3 minutes into the game, 4-3 in favor of Singularity. And Trid in the chat we are part of. He just says the word Fiesta. And you know what? I couldn't say any better word to describe what's currently happening on screen. A Fiesta is the perfect word to describe what's happening currently. Things that Clown Fiesta even says, yeah, Clown Fiesta. We're going to give him more. That's it, though. Kemal's going to push his way forward. Doesn't have himself the isolation buff. He's going to have to move away from that fight entirely. The Unbreakable was exactly what they needed. But though they're going to go for Joy Stacks, maybe extend a little bit too far forward and goes for the Killer Instinct. And he picks up the double now and looking for the triple. The concussive blows are now going to be procced. One more basic stack is all you need. And that's the triple. And you know what? Kaiser triple kill already at this stage of the game. Okay, SNG are looking like the top team in this matchup.
Yeah, Font of Life, by the way, kind of busted. Looks
so good,
like,
right?
Yeah, Zawa just dies 1v1. It is a really hard matchup if you're not confident, and I really think this is a little bit overconfident from Zawa to go for the Fizz into the Ahri. But nonetheless, that bot lane is already giving a huge platform over to Joey Skaggs, who has now got a huge gold lead on that Zaya. So I really think that you're just seeing the prowess of the Keys Joey Skaggs bot lane in action right now, just getting a triple kill in that scenario. Great counter engage. That's what Braum is so good at, is the counter engage situations. And they may even... Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, tries to jump on over with the explosive seed. Unfortunately, not able to get anything out of it. Though, his Kha'Zix right can very easily jump over to the other side of the pit. So if he can take that risk, that is fine. But yeah, Keith and also Joy Skaggs, very clearly two players that have a lot of... they know themselves for the longest time. They have some prior mobile MOBA experience together. They used to play together on some teams, sometimes as enemies. So they know how each of those two players play. And typically is more of the aggressive playstyle. Though one ability, and Darkest was almost 50% HP. You've got to be careful. So Churn the Waters will be coming out, trying to move away with the Playful Trickster, and Javix will be there to close that gap. Hectic Ultimatum onto Ryu. There's no way he can escape and run from, as Javix gets himself the double. And bottom side, that's another kill to Joy Skaggs, and he's on an absolute rampage this game.
Yeah, bot side of the map is kind of carrying, and it's a good thing because Zawa went from carrying the game to like perma running it down on the Fizz. He's gone for the Rabadon's Death Cap, so at least he's gone for an item that's going to give him a huge amount of burst damage, because realistically, that's basically what he's going to be good for. If he lands a fish, it's just going to be about burst damage for him. But yeah, clearly not having the best game in this matchup, and it is, like I said in draft, that's what you want to do. Like now you have that's what you want to do if you're Zawa. Joey.
Oh, be careful there. Ghost goes for the killer instinct. Will pick himself up 1 kill. Nice snipe from a distance coming out from JFX. And now they're going to engage for the sweep. Nice damage coming on through from the Camille. It's just going to be one stranded away in the distance. Popped back thanks to the hook shot. Nice re-engage and a little bit of a knockup coming out from Keys once more, but they're just joining the party one by one. Not really loving what's happening from the side of Singularity. Ryu's going to join, but the health bar are not low enough. He's going to try and get himself to focus onto Kumao. Explosive cast puts himself so spread away from each other that Kumao is not able to lock up any extra damage, and now the passive of Braum is coming down so strongly. I thought it was too much. I thought it was an overstep, but it worked out for some time. Maybe not anymore. Actually, he's going to go for the body slam, maybe looking for the kill. The Burrows are barely keeping Vampire up and alive, and the two go down. What just happened? What is this game?
Oh, that's a classic Joey Skaggs right there. like winning the game. Absolutely just turbo winning the game when you decide that you have to ult under tower. They kind of all got baited into like a crazy series of like one-on-one engages there. And honestly, you're giving a lot of gold over to Ari, who does get locked up by the Pantheon. Nice chum the waters, forces the flash early on. Zawa does, again, go a little aggressive for me here, Max.
Yeah, he's going to be able to flash away from that one finally, so he should be safe with the rest of the squad. Redemption able to heal them up just a tad. He's going to be down the front line, doesn't have his ultimate available anymore, so he's going to have to wait a few more seconds for that to be available for himself and to be able to proc that Glacial Fissure. Though no Herald available just yet for these two teams, not finding the opportunity for the time being, while in the bottom side you still have that 1v1 happening. They want to try and get himself that Scuttle to get vision awareness of that Herald pit.
God, this is so messy, Keys.
Yeah. Oh.
It's so messy. And I really don't think it has to be if you Singularity. I think you're giving way too much over to Vampire. And I think you have to be careful. Like, this is not a one series. You can't, I don't think you can afford to like troll around here. This is not an absolutely one series. No, I love what Ryu's doing. He's creating some side lane pressure against the Camille over here. He's going to now rotate over towards this Rift Herald. And
nice.
Oh my word, Joker. Yeah, okay, he's bought some time.
Charm into the knockup. The Grand Entrance is big, but unfortunately they lose himself their support instantaneously. Darga, see you later, Alligator. As a overstep happening from a Vampire very clearly in this fight. Sure, Singularity are pretty low, but that's going to create an opportunity to go straight for the Herald. And they got himself mid, getting pushed up too. So yeah, no, not the fan of how Vampire position that fight, though. The Charm connects once again. It'll be enough damage. Yeah, it will be followed up nicely by Zero. The concussive blow passive from the Braum is going to be connecting once more. And they're going even further and beyond in that fight. Explosive cast connects perfectly for you as they get the Herald and a bunch of kills. Singularity starting to build a really significant lead in this game.
Yeah, finally we see Singularity come alive. It was a really good initial push coming out from Ryu on the bot side of the map. It looks like JFix is going for a 2v1 though.
And he's smurfing in these fights. 1v2 picks up the tower, picks up the kill, also onto Joker. I mean, he was 2-0 in this game very, very early on in that Baron lane matchup, and he was doing really, really good things. But now they're going to go straight for Drake. So yeah, it's weird. Joe Skaggs was having such a good early game, but now it seemed like there's almost that comeback opportunity coming to Vampire. They're almost even Steven in this game.
Yeah, and they're going to get the Dragon off the back of that as well. That nice little 2v1 picked up by JVix now has allowed them that space and that priority in the mid lane to go for the Dragon. Got to say, Zawa outplayed a little bit towards the end there to get himself back into back out of that kill. And where do you even analyze this game, though? It's just brawl. It's fist fight after fist fight after fist fight. But again, we talk a lot about scaling. I do think the scaling favors Singularity. Looks like Zero's getting caught out.
Nice, little bit of an engage, give himself some nice CC with the Chain of Corruption, but is that going to help your course? Not really when you get collapsed upon by a 5-man crew, by the way, of Singularity. Vampire going to have to move away, but there's no clear jungle objective to secure now, so I would just say push mid-tower, and it seemed like that's going to be the focus of SNG.
I think you should be going for mid lane tier 1, though. Mid lane tier 1 is one of the most important tier 1. What, Ryu? Okay, Ryu's there. Oh, he's got Zawa's backup, though. They might be able to get Kima.
Yeah, another Fiesta. The Braum passive concussive blows will be connecting once more. And JVix trying his best to move away. The burn damage is going to be there. And that'll be going over to Zawa himself. The Fishman doing pretty good things. Trying to move out. Nice little bit of an off angle. Joe Skaggs is going to be flashed away. I think that's a really good flash. Otherwise, that could have caused his demise in the grand scheme of things. Gotta be careful there. Keith's a little bit too deep. Can he jump over on the target? I think that ability is currently off cooldown. The cask is going to be able to slow down the entirety of the team. And they go once again. What's happening? Chain of Corruption could get some big CC, gets himself the root, get himself another root on top of things. That's a double kill coming away of Vampire. And what? I don't know how to analyze this one. I fully agree, Scandal. This is weird.
It's 2 for 2 overall. The Rift Herald was dropped mid, picked up the mid lane tier 1. Kind of worth for Singularity overall. Look, you can brawl it out all you like. Go toe to toe every single fight, but you still have an enemy Kai'Sa, an enemy Fizz, Gragas tank. These things scale really well into the late game. You're playing kind of like a lethality Varus. It really only has so much legwork it can do before it starts to fall off. And as we've talked about before, compositionally for Singularity, they've got a lot of dive potential. Like, it's kind of like an all-in opportunity. Like, Fizz jumps in, Pantheon jumps in, Gragas jumps in, Joey can get to the backline with his ultimate. Like, they have a lot of kill threat onto the backline. And if you can take out the Varus, if you can take out the Ahri very early on into these fights, you have a massive advantage of Singularity.
And also, you talked about it, especially in the draft Scoundrel, you touched upon it, is that this Rakan is not working as planned whatsoever. Especially because you already had the Braum picked up so early in the draft for Singularity, and they went towards it very early on, and it just clearly has not been working versus Keith, and especially versus Keith and Joyce Gags together. So we're going to have a quick replay of that last fight. And very clearly, that Chain of Corruption was really big coming on through last second from the likes of Zero. Almost got himself a triple root, but Joyce Gags just barely able to each out of that one. Otherwise, that could have been a really, really big kill. Extra coming their way with some bounties, though. Another fight happening towards the Baron Pit. And that's going to be the Charm connecting Joker's. Got to be careful. Very deep in that fight. But Javix, he's now going to be left unabandoned by his team. Going to be ignited away and will indeed go down in the grand scheme of this game. Singularity still have 2 more players. Jump on forward from the Playful Trickster into the body slam. That's some big CC. That's some great damage, actually. Vampire gonna have to move away from that fight entirely, and Joker is there to connect the damage and get himself an extra stun. As Kamau, the last chance for his team of Vampire, will indeed go down. Ooh. And that's the ace going the way of Singularity, and the double kill that goes the way of Joker.
Beautiful little bit of micromanaging from Singularity there. What I really loved about the end was how they juggled aggro between all of the different players on the team. Like, Zawa goes in, Kimau turns around to try and find an isolation Q onto Zawa, can't find it. And also at the same time as Zawa jumping in, Ryu body slams in to prevent the isolation from even happening. Instant flash away to make sure that he can't get the kill and get the reset. Just really lovely micro stuff from Singularity in that little engage there. And we just see the Infinity Orb being finished up as well by Fizz, so lots of like execute damage. Very aggressive play from Dark Ghost there. Unfortunately, doesn't really have the backup. But look at this. Like, so I love this. Love the stasis. Instantly they turn. You have the front line blocking the damage from Joker here. Look at the flash straight away from Zawa. He's away, and then they take out Kimau at the end as well. But just beautiful micromanaging. Like, honestly, lovely micro play between the 3 of them right there. Kimau kind of desperate to kind of get his own camps at this point in time as well.
It was such a well-orchestrated fight. Zawa, also with Ryu and Joker, just one by one, they were being on the front line, dashing the CC, getting the damage done. It was so well played. That is a big proof of strong synergy and communication being dealt between these 3 players, especially on the side of Singularity. So I want to see more of that. It's great to see. But it's weird we're still seeing these kind of performances, because let's not forget, this is still not a one matchup for Singularity. Even though now, because of the goalie they created and the kill leader they have in their favor, it's starting to look very favored in their position. They body slam onto Dark Ghost. I mean, he's 0-6. I think now he's even maybe potentially 0-7. He is not the threat the Singularity is looking to take down. You want to try and focus down the likes of Zero. If Zero is dead, then you win. Very, very clearly. Javix also does some decent damage, but Zero is the main threat, and he is just clearly not able to move away because those dives are too clean and too hard to deal with on the side of Singularity.
And I love that you're getting some zoning pressure from Keys and from Zawa on the Baron. Again, they're going to get this for free. Big engage. Yeah,
Glacial Fisher, nice knock-up. Actually, the really good grand entrance from the likes of Dark Ghost, but it's just not going to be enough because they don't have an easy access to the backline here, Scoundrel. Nice dive. Joyce Cat can be able to snipe himself a few targets. Dark Ghost and Zero down. We said it, Zero, when he's dead, I mean, you lose most of your damage. There's not much you can do to redeem that game back in your favor. As Zawa, Playful Trickster over the wall. He's not going to go for the kill onto Warlife. Emotes away. Sees Warlife backing up. I think might be a little bit of a bait. And he goes Golden. He tried, but there you go. 3, 2, 1. And you are done so. And nothing else to do but to spam the Corky bot in the chat.
Yeah, that was a little bait there from Zara at the end.
He tried.
But you mentioned the grand entrance from Rakan, and it was a nice knock-up, but Keys had the shield up. Like, you Rakan grand entrance behind the Braum shield. How's your team supposed to do any damage? And that's why I hate Rakan into Braum. TED Talk over.
Thank you very much, Scoundrel. But you're right? Even if you are going to get knocked up, you're still going to have the Unbreakable available and nothing is going to come on through. It was a good initiation, but unfortunately, not only was that Unbreakable going to be up for the likes of Keys, but also I think the follow-up was clearly not there for the entirety of Vampire. So it is just some nice attempts, but it's just not coming together in the way we were initially expecting. Joe Skaggs now just looking like the unstoppable force. This guy is 12, 3, and 8. Get himself even that red buff to be even more of a threat in that next engage. But we're going to have a quick replay, and you see, yeah, exactly, that Unbreakable is just in front, and there's clearly not the angle being secured away. There's no way Singularity are going to be taken down from that position. And the moment that they knew that they overstepped, they take down the likes of Zero, convert the entire fight, and pick up the remaining players one by one, as we have another fight currently happening into the bottom side jungle. Ryu's going to be on the front line, 1/3 HP currently remaining. You don't want to push it any further. They got the inhib tower here, Scandal, so they're looking to find closure very soon. Yeah,
I mean, Javix is just on the other side of the map right now. Doesn't look like he's trying to respond to the pressure coming out from a Singularity, and they're going to get another inhibitor. Very, very strong stuff. Singularity just pushing their way through. Finally comes back to the fight, but way too late. Lost too many resources in the map right now, and again, it's a huge ask to trying to come back from a situation where you've lost 2 inhibitor towers and you don't even scale that well. Javix is going for the flank, though.
He's feeling himself pretty good. He goes for Zao, playful Trickster, able to dodge a lot of that damage output, repositioning with the Arcane kind of rush, and Joker's straight going to be jumping on forward with the ultimate to try and assist his team. I mean, concussive blow, you just can't make it away from that one. The slows of this brawl are just way too damn good. And that's going to be another pickup. 2 players down, Zero, Dark Ghost, and Javix trying their best to keep this side of Singularity away from their Nexus. But can they make it happen, Scandal? I'm not going to lie. I am very doubtful of how this game is going to find closure. Vampire, if they lose this game, they are out of the Origin Series as they are currently taking their Smash versus SNG in the lower bracket. Skaggs, even though he's taking a lot of damage, he's going to be able to reset the aggro. Zawa able to play that playful Trickster away from the Nexus focus, and that is indeed going to be GG as they get themselves the ace, get themselves the Nexus, take the series, and continue their adventure in the lower side bracket of the Origin Series.
Great stuff from Team Singularity. I think came in as the favorites into this matchup and clearly showed why as well. I do think a bit of a draft iffy in both games. I think they kind of had the edge in draft. I think support matchups are really important in terms of how the game plays out, and I really, really don't like Braum into Rakan into Braum, and it kind of showed in these team fights. Also, again, illustrating why Kha'Zix is not a strong competitive pick, especially versus coordinated teams. But honestly, Singularity, all props to them. They got the picks they wanted, they played them well, and won the game.
Yeah, hoping to not see too much of a Kha'Zix, but this is really good redemption arc coming out, especially from Singularity. I was surprised to see them actually drop really early on in this tournament out of the winner bracket. It seemed like they're going to be making it down, but you know what? They redeemed themselves in my eyes in this match. So we'll have to talk about that and break down exactly what happened in this series. Wistrid on the desk right after this very short break.
But there you have it. That's pretty much all of our gameplay for this evening. And Team Singularity, they are reinstilling confidence with a 2-0 victory over Vampires. And one of the things that I noticed very early on in that game, and Max, I'm glad you translated my message to the audience. What a clown fiesta to kick things off. Like, that was just absolute anarchy for like the first 15 minutes of the game. I'm going to ask the difficult question here, Kieran. Can you start to make sense of that for me?
No. Honestly, that was just a categorical brawl. Absolutely, just nothing held back. Fists out, slapping each other in the head over and over again. It was very messy, very messy. But like I said, in those kind of situations, if both teams are coming out even, it's always going to favor the team that scales better. And in this case, both games, realistically, Singularity just had the more favorable scaling. And then when they decided to play properly, like you saw the compositional differences as well. You saw, like, when you're in these small, scrappy brawls, that's when Kha'Zix is good. Like, Kha'Zix wants the little 2v2s, he wants the little 3v3s. Then when we got to the actual proper 5v5s and Keys used his hands, they ended up, showing the compositional differences between the two teams. And that's kind of what we saw and kind of gave Singularity the edge around these fights.
And I'm glad you brought up the Kha'Zix, actually, because we might be able to touch on this a little bit more. I think we got a perfect example of it, I think, around the first, like, kind of Herald fight. I think it was around about, like, or it was around objective 7 minutes 40, roughly. A fight started for Vampire, got disengaged quite quickly. Kha'Zix didn't get the message. Dove in 1v4, and we got a perfect example of how he just gets rolled in that one. Max, is that miscommunication on the Kha'Zix part? What's the biggest offense here? The Kha'Zix pick the miscommunication or everything else just going wrong with the team disengaging. Now, I'll tell you what, production's been kind enough for us to get this replay. So, Kieran, let's just have a look at the 1v4 quickly. We won't dwell on this too long.
I'm gonna break two things down. Yeah, I'm gonna break two fights down. So the first one I'm gonna show you is just, I don't even think I really need to explain it, but
I just want to see it again because I thought it was hilarious.
Nice charm here, and Kha'Zix looks like he's going for an easy reset. Like, okay, right, this right here, I don't blame Kemal for looking for this. Joker's just used his damage invulnerability, right? He's just used his third ability, which stops any damage coming his way. So you may be looking for an easy reset for Kemal. So I kind of get it, but you're going to see why Braum sucks. Sorry, why Kha'Zix sucks, especially into Braum. Like, watch this. Stunned, dead.
Yeah. You can't.
That's why Kha'Zix sucks into Braum. Like you jump in, especially into a clustered team fight like that, and yeah, it's kind of memes. I'm going to break down another one though. I wanted to break down. This was just a really lovely bit of play between Ryu, Zawa, and Joker. They just balanced it really nicely. I'm going to see if I can put it into slow. That's really slow.
Oh, nice.
That's too slow. That's too slow, mate.
Wait, how do I speed it up? I can't speed it up anymore. Wait, slow motion then. I'm sorry, guys. I've ruined it. Let me see if I can reset it. It's still
press play, apparently.
Press play. Oh, there we go. Cool. Okay, I didn't mess it up. Right. Joker's back. Very, very low HP. Ghost goes for a very aggressive knockup and misses. And then we have Ryu and Zawa clearly working together. Right. So that was a really lovely combo for Ryu. He had a great body slam to 3. So big knockup. Watch this. Immediate stasis. Oh my god, I've messed this up, guys. Immediately stasis from Zawa. Zawa buys a bit of time. They pick up a kill. And Zero and Kemal, for some reason, are like running away at this point. Like, if I were there, I'd maybe collect myself around Zawa and try and get him out of the stasis. But either way, great stasis from Zawa. Ryu, like, Joker finds the one block. This is buying a bit of time. Ryu jumps in, finds the kill. Watch this from Zawa, gets himself away from Kemal, and they just perfectly juggle the aggro between all of them. Like, each of them at some point using a way to inhibit damage. First of all, Zawa's stasis to buy some time and space. Second of all, Joker jumps back in and then uses his damage reduction to stop any damage coming his way. And then eventually, like, Ryu just coming in and bopping people. It was just, honestly, just a really nice little micro piece of juggling between the three of them to kind of turn what was essentially a bit of a scrappy team fight for them into a big win.
Yeah, you could just see each of them going, okay, I've got cooldowns, I'm going to go in. It's not just the aggro, it's also the layering, the crowd control, the damage, everything's added up there. Like, it was so good for them. I completely agree with you. I'm going to go and praise one of the players themselves, actually, because I got Ryu for an interview. So I'm going to say goodbye to you two. You'll be back in a second, and we'll have a chat and we'll close out the show. But Ryu, come join me. Hello.
Hey, man.
Hey, how are you? You must be feeling good. I mean, it's a bit of an eventful day for you, isn't it? Getting dropped to the lower bracket and then being able to win a couple of matches. So we didn't get to see that on stream. I was wondering if you could give us a brief overview of your upper bracket game that sent you down here.
Yeah, we played against a very well-playing Team Future. They played great compositions, and we were taken by storm. So just big respect to those guys.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry, it happens. Keep going.
I'm back. Hello.
Yes, you're here. Don't worry. Yeah, just keep talking. Just keep talking.
Oh yeah, sorry. I mean, yeah, we played against a team called Team Future, and they played extremely well. They took us by storm, and their composition. They played some very aggressive comps with Olaf, Renekton, Camille, and it's something we copied and used in our game against V3.
Wait, hang on a minute. Did you play the Renekton in that matchup against Galio because Team Future played it against you, or was it something you prepared beforehand?
I mean, we've been playing a lot of Renekton into Galio before, and like, it's something we know is strong, but when V3 let it open, like, it's something we knew that was strong, but yeah, I mean, when the opportunity came there to pick it into Galio, it was just even better.
Well, both of your games, Ryu, you seemed really under control, but in game number 2, it seemed a bit like anarchy for like the first 15 minutes. Now, was that you guys feeling yourselves, or were you genuinely caught off guard by some of these fights that you were being forced into by Vampire?
I mean, there is something we call the stream on buff. When Saura is playing on the stream, he just absolutely pops off, wants to take a rest of trades. So yeah, I mean, Saura played an amazing game on Fizz and created a lot of action and made the game very messy for V3 to play.
Mm-hmm. All right, and looking further ahead down the tournament, obviously you've already ran into Team Future. They weren't one of the teams that were necessarily on our radar when we were looking at this bracket. Who are the strongest teams in this group if you are going to make that call, right? So you have to respect Team Future, but who else in that upper bracket right now is going to give you a run for your money if you ever meet them in your lower bracket run?
Hello.
Don't worry about it. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I like that out there. I think the strongest teams, I think I'm surprised by the fact that Team Queso knocked out Game Lord down to the lower brackets. But yeah, I mean, I think Game Lord is probably the strongest team with Team Queso and Tribe Gaming. Then Team Future is probably shortly after that with us. I think Tribe Gaming has just, I mean, Tribe Gaming has an amazing jungle mid lane duo with Snitch and Dooms. I think Game Lord has the top lane jungle with which is Random and Sefta, and TQ has the Acolyte Andres duo. And I think those jungle mid or jungle top lane duos is extremely important in the current meta right now, and I think that's why these three teams are extremely strong.
All right, thanks for your insight, Ryu. Before I send you on your way, have you got any shout outs, any messages for fans, anything like that? Stage is yours just to close this out.
Just a big shout out to my team. My team is amazing to be around. The Sour, Joey, Skags, Joker, and Keys, amazing teammates. They always play fun games, and yeah, I mean, happy with my team, and yeah, go Singularity.
All right, thanks so much, Ryu. You have a nice evening, and good luck with the rest of the tournament.
Thank you.
Let's bring them back. It's the boys.
It's the boys.
That's the boys.
I love hearing from Ryu. I play with him a lot. He's a really, really great guy. And I think, funnily enough, I think there was a point in Ryu's career where he was considering not playing. Like, I think there was a point a few months ago where he was considering not playing, and then he kind of just popped off. Like, he just kind of became this really strong Baron laner, and kind of decided, oh well, do you know what? I'm gonna put the effort in and kind of get into it. So, you know, I think big credit to Ryu. He stepped up to that role in a role that has got a lot of really strong Baron laners, like Random, for instance. So yeah, really, really good to see him do well. We're kind of looking back at some of the highlights from the last few games. Like, this was that Reason matchup where, honestly, I think Reason kind of came out big here. I think they had a really strong series.
Yeah, they moved up. They were one of the first few teams. I mean, they had a matchup versus Game Lord. That was, of course, going to be really complicated for Reason Gaming in the grand scheme of things. But you know what? Able to catch himself back up versus Luminous Charm, taking themselves the series 2-1. Interesting prospect coming out from them. I think they could potentially go really far. They did have a matchup versus Cream Real Betis, so I'm intrigued to know exactly how that matchup went down. But then a few little replays back from that last game between Singularity and Vampire. And these are some of the big fights that really get a big lead in favor of Singularity. That's when Zhao especially was playing on that Renekton. That he was absolutely OP. There was nothing you could do. It was 7-0 and 5-in at some point in that game. And a fed Renekton is just horrible to deal with, Excandrel.
Yeah, Renekton, when he gets ahead, especially when he goes for this Blade of the Rune King build, is absolutely insane. And Zhao had a really, really strong performance in that last one. Obviously, this one, we saw him on the Fizz, where it was a little bit more of an early game, but he got there in the end. And kind of managed to bring it back in his favor. And Singularity, a little bit messy in that second game, but I don't think I ever really in doubt that they were likely the better team.
So I know we can't really take a look at the final updates because results are still coming in from all of the groups. I'm going to focus a little bit on Group A right now because there's a couple of teams that we know are definitively just out of the tournament at the moment. So Luminous Charm, we said goodbye to them. We had their game live. We had the obituary read out on stream for us. That was nice of them. We had Clash Spain. They're out, which sounds a little bit surprising to me. I'm surprised Clash have found themselves out of the tournament already.
I thought they were going to win their matchup versus 7 Free Agents, personally, coming into this one. I thought that there was a chance for them to, even if it did go to a game 3, there was definitely some action back and forth between 7 Free Agents and Clash Spain. But Clash have been a team that I was never really sold about. They had some clear moments of greatness, and I think they had really good individual performances from time to time. But as a team, I think there's always been something that was maybe not working well together. So I was hoping to see Clash, how good they improved on that prospect. But apparently, I mean, it speaks for itself, right? You're already out first in the tournament. It's not looking too good for you. But I'm hyped, especially to see how 7 Free Agents could play, because they were a team that I was not expecting. They're French, so I'm going to be a little bit biased. So I'm intrigued to see how far they can go with that one.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've now got all the results in for the night. So we're going to take a quick look at this one and get the complete picture that's going in. Let's pull up Group A, upper bracket. Let's see what the results from that are. And hopefully we get a good picture of all the action that's happened tonight. So let's take a look at it. Not getting scores on here, but you can kind of see the state we're at. I'm looking at a lot of names that have been brought up already. I'm very surprised, though, that we see Team Queso going through to the next round. I would have thought Game Lord would have done that.
Do you remember talking earlier about Team Queso's top lane, Andre and Acolyte? I think they're really strong, massively underrated right now. That was a pretty clean 2-0 apparently versus Game Lord as well. I talked to a lot of people. I don't really want to leak strats on air, but I talked to a lot of people that people have kind of said Game Lord have one specific comp that works really well for them, and then if you kind of learn to deal with that, then it can be a bit it can be a bit easier to deal with them.
All right, let's take a look at the lower bracket though, because we know Game Lord's down there, which was a bit of a surprise, but there's a nice little recap of everything that's going on. You can see that the teams that are progressing through to the next round. So we know Team Singularity's going there. I think Cream Real Betis is still waiting to go on. And we got Resolve Devils 1. And the winner of that actually has the tall order of going up against Game Lord.
Oh, that's not an easy one.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough matchup for either of them. I expect Resolve to come out of the win there. But obviously, I think also Cream Real Betis are likely to beat Reason. I think they're a better team overall, but things can happen. It's a bit crazy. This is the Group B, the Turkish and CIS region. Most of the teams getting through that I expected, Fastpay, Wildcats, Trovo Nova, and Unicorns of Love, I think were the top 3 teams in this bracket overall. I expect Trovo Nova to meet Unicorns of Love in the grand final of this group, or at least the winners of this bracket final. That would be my prediction going into the next few days.
I was very surprised, especially to see Footballists not able to make it through to the semi-finals, actually, of this this upper bracket. I'm really surprised. I thought they would be the team to actually win that matchup versus Fastpay Wildcats, especially since Fastpay Wildcats have suffered some pretty big roster changes on their own. So, yeah, Footballists were looking, for me at least, as a favorite, but Fastpay were able to move forward, meaning that one big matchup tomorrow in the upper bracket is very clearly going to be Trovo Nova versus Fastpay Wildcat. That is the match I can't wait to see happen in Group B.
Okay,
and we're going to just quickly jump into Group C and take a look. It did happen. There's some results coming all the way down, and looks like we've already got our upper bracket final kind of set for that one. We've got Sunlight Team going up against Cut Esports. They will be fighting for a position in that grand final.
Yeah, I'll be completely real with you. I don't know a huge amount about these guys. This is the region that I was not so brushed up on coming into the Origin series, but I think Cut have shown that they're clearly one of the favorites. They came in pretty strong. Looked like they had some pretty good from the double Ziggs game that we did catch. They seem to be working together. They seem to be working together. I was impressed with the way that they were being much more proactive, very objective focused team. So, I think they do clearly have the fundamentals down, or at least some of the fundamentals down from what we saw in that game. Just need to make sure that we don't double pick a Ziggs going any further into the tournament. But regardless, I'm excited to see how that group pans out as well.
Right. So, okay, that's the end of day one. You got a nice little overview of all the action that's happened. We've said goodbye to half of the teams in each of the groups pretty much at this stage of the tournament. So we've already called half of them, and we've got 3 days left to go. So we're going to try and give you more of the matches per day, or more of the important matches as they come in. I know for a fact that tomorrow we are starting with Team Future versus Tribe Gaming. Max, why should someone tune in tomorrow to watch that matchup?
I mean, Tribe Gaming, very clearly, if you guys have been watching any kind of community-run tournament right now for Wildrift in Europe, you've got some really big names here. Of course, you're looking at Leon. You're looking at Doom, that, by the way, are playing a lot with the Scoundrels of recent times. Snitch also got a lot of experience in other MOBAs, also PC MOBAs, which is very interesting. So they're just a very clearly an Avenger level threat team in this Group A, and I'm hoping to see make it right to the finals. Very clearly, they look like the standout team. But versus Team Future, that they took themselves a very big win versus Singularity, so I'm intrigued to see what Future are actually made of, and if that's enough to take down the Goliath level team, which is going to be Team Tribe.
Yeah, really quick one on this. I think Team Future are a massive dark horse for Group A. They have a lot of incredibly skilled and respected players in the solo queue ladder right now, and they've kind of come together and formed a very strong looking team. 2-0ing Singularity is no mean feat. And by doing it with, convincingly as well, I think we are looking at a closer series than it may feel like on paper. But if you want to watch, especially the best jungle in Europe, Tribe's got the best jungle in Europe, and you'll see, a very, very strong performance from them tomorrow.
All right, all of that is going to be waiting for you here tomorrow. But that's it for tonight. As I said, we said goodbye to a lot of teams, but from this point onwards, there are more points. There's more prize pool up to grabs. It only keeps getting better here. Thank you so much for joining the first ever Wild Rift Origin Series broadcast. We'll be back tomorrow for day 2 of the monthly final. Be sure to check it out.